Hi there, everyone. I am Liz, and I'm one of the creative managers over at Premier Yarns. And I would like to say thank you to Michaels for sponsoring this class, and thank you to all of you for joining me today to crochet with me. So I'm going to just go over what we're going to make today, and there's a lot of different elements of this pattern that I want to show you. So I'm going to try to pack as much of it as I can into this 1-hour class. So this is the bag. This is called the Sunny Day Market Bag. It's a really pretty crochet bag. It's got a lot of, it's not hard. It's simple to do, but it has a lot of different parts to it. So the pattern is free over at Premier Yarns, but we also put a link to it in the chat. So if you want to print it out and work along with me, I'd like to go over when I'm teaching these classes. I think it's helpful to kind of go over some of the wording and things like that. And that helps for people to get familiar with reading crochet patterns. So first I'm going to show you, we're going to start with the base. So I'm going to show you how to make this really cool oval shape by using increases. And then we're going to work in the back loop to make it sort of start to go up. I'm going to show you how we change colors here. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to make this really awesome cord with a Romanian I cord, this is called. I'm going to show you how to do this. It makes a really sturdy, pretty bag, strap for your bag. So let's go ahead and flip the camera so I can show you what the yarn we're going to be using and everything. Okay, good. So we're going to use this Hipster Cotton. Of course, you can get this one at Michaels. This one is called Rainbow Rollerskates. It's 100% cotton. And we're going to use the alternating color is this Chameleon. So if you don't know about this, really quickly, this is color changing yarn. It's white, and when you take it outside or when you put a light on it, this UV light, it changes color. So this one you can see is the purple. This one's like a marled purple. So it's got like white and purple. This is the pink. See how it turns like a solid pink? Of course, when you take it outside, you know, the whole thing gets, all of it gets that color. And this is the yellow. You can see it changing like magically. This is really cool yarn. I love this. And of course, that's available at Michaels as well. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to alternate between the purple and the rainbow roller skates. So before I use the Chameleon, I'm going to show you a little sample of the base with this color. This is how it's going to look when we're all finished, when we can start working up for the body of the bag. But this is how we're going to make the base. And I'm going to show you a few rounds just so you can get used to working in the round and doing the increases strategically along the edges. So let's start with our 4mm crochet hook. And of course, you're always going to use whatever you get your gauge with, whether if you are tighter or looser, you need to go up or down a hook if needed. And I'm just going to use, of course, my scissors and then a stitch marker if you have one of these. These are helpful for when you're working in the round. So we are on round 1, and it says start with the main color and chain 33. So the main color is whatever your Hipster Cotton is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. And I want to show you this first few rounds because we're going to be working into both sides of this starting chain. Okay, so we're going to work into the back bumps first, and then we're going to work into the opposite edge. So that way we can have that oval shape, okay? So now the pattern says working in the back bumps, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet in each chain across to the last chain. So this is my first chain, and this is my second chain, and I'm going to go into that back bump. So just go right in there with a single crochet. And then in each chain across. So if you have the pattern printed out and you have all the materials, you can work this part along with me. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I do want to show you this sort of beginning because this is like the foundation of the base. So I'm just working one single crochet into each of these chains. And it's really important for this part to, well, of course, it's really important for all of crochet to keep your stitch count, because every round we're going to be doing increases. So we need to make sure we have the right amount for each round. Each round will increase by 6 stitches. And of course, we do the increases along the outer edges, and that's what creates that oval shape. Oh, and I didn't mention it in the beginning, but if anyone has any questions, I'm going to try to keep my eye on the chat as we move along. So if you have a question, just pop it in the chat and I'll definitely try to get to it. So I'm just working each chain. Remember, you have to start in the back bumps, or it won't really work to do the other side. Okay, so now it says to single crochet in each chain to the last chain. This is the last chain, and 2 single crochet in the last chain. Here's the last chain. There's the little bump. So I'm going to put 1 and 2 right into that last chain. So now here is where we rotate. So instead of turning, of course, like you normally would, we're just going to rotate this piece and we're going to start working into these stitches here, which are, they look like regular single crochet stitches, but these are the, this is the opposite, or the, sometimes it's called the opposite side of the foundation chain. Sometimes it's called the unused loop. So these are the unused loops. We're going to work right into those. And we want to do it of each chain. So you have to do one in that very first one that we have. So we're going to put 1 in that first one. There's the second one. So technically that last one had 3 stitches in it, because remember we did 2 and then we rotated it and worked into the opposite side of it. So we kind of have 3 there, but these are 2 different sides of the chain. So we're counting them in that manner. Okay, so we're just gonna put a single crochet in each one of these unused loops. And when you work into those back bumps, and I do this with everything, not just if I'm going to work into the opposite side, whenever I do anything with a starting chain, I always start in the back bumps because it makes a much nicer, cleaner edge, as opposed to working just sort of into the center of the chain. And you want to keep this at a, you know, not too loose of a gauge. It can be a little just sort of tight to work into, you know, because it's cotton, which doesn't really have a lot of stretch or like bounciness. And also it's a tight gauge, but we want to make it like nice and solid for the bottom of the bag, so nothing falls out, of course. Okay, so now I'm coming around And here is the last chain. So you can see it's the last opposite side, but it's the first of the beginning that we did, okay? So this is the last stitch. And then it says 2 single crochet in the last unused loop. So we're going to do one more increase right here. So that's 1 and 2. And it's helpful to just put a stitch marker in here so that way you don't, just because of the way it works in the round, you don't want the stitches, you don't want to just sort of forget where your start is and where your end is. Okay, so now as you can see, we have this little piece where we just worked around both sides of that beginning chain. Now I'm just going to do like maybe 1 or 2 more so you can see how we do the increases. Now we're going to join this to this single crochet because that's the first one. So I'm just going to insert and join that with a slip stitch. So you see where I have it marked? That was the last single crochet of the round. This is the first single crochet of the round where I just made the slip stitch. And it says chain 1 and work 2 single crochet in the same stitch, right? So we're going to chain 1 and work 2 single crochet into that same stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're just going to go across again and then do some more increases on this side. So now it says do 30, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So now here you can see I'm sort of at the where it like turns the corner, right? So if we didn't work increases here, we would, it would just start curling up. So we have to, because it's getting wider on the outer edges, you have to keep increasing to keep that edge nice and flat. So it says 2 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So I'm just going to do an increase, which is 2 single crochets in each of these 3 outer stitches. 1, 2 single crochet in this one, and 2 single crochet in this one. Okay, and then I'm just going to go across again, 30 across here, and then do 1 more increase here, or 2 more increases. So 2 and 2, and then, I mean, this one and this one. Well, let me just do that. This, I'm going to work this last round so you can see. Just going to work across here. Before I move on to the next step, I just want to show you 1 more round of these increases. And you can use this, I mean, this is like a pretty good, just sort of staple base. Like imagine if you maybe had some like thicker yarn, you you could do the same exact base and have like a big bag, you know, and just double crochet all around it for the sides. You could use this base for any bag because it's pretty much just like the standard increases, you know. It's like a formula almost of how to increase to make an oval shape. So when I get to the, I thought you said 32, but it is 30. Yeah. So hopefully I didn't say 32. Sorry if I did. Yeah. So on round 2, it's 30 and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch and 2 into the next stitch, because that's where the increases come in. So yeah. So it says 30 and then 2 single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. Right? So here are my last 2, and I have this one because it's marked, and then this one. So we're going to put 2 into this next stitch, 1, 2, and then we're going to put 2 in this last stitch, 1, 2. Now take a look at what this looks like here, because this is something that, I know, I just like to kind of explain this when we're working in the round. See how this is my last stitch, right? It's the one I just did. And this is actually the beginning of the round. This is the last stitch of the round. This is the first stitch of the round. But see how you sort of have this like this thing right here and this thing right here. This is actually where we joined it, and this is the chain. So you want to make sure you don't start working into this or this. And that's why it's helpful to use those stitch markers. You could also put it at the first stitch of the round and mark, okay, this is the first stitch I made and this is the last stitch I made. So that way you know you need to join here and not here, because of course you won't have the right stitch count if you join in the last place. So it's helpful to use those stitch markers just so you can, you know, like make sure you're at the right spot, and then you just kind of work over that little chain that was right there. So I did 3 increases here at this edge, and I did 3 increases here at this edge, but the round starts here, right? So we have to do an increase, work around, do 3 increases, work around, and then do 2 increases before we join. That way you have 3 increases and 3 increases. So it continues on like that. Now this is the color that I used for the bag. So I'm just going to show you. If you missed this, great tips, thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Maria. So I just want to sort of go over this a little bit. And like I said, this is almost like a formula. So see how we did in the beginning with this one? We did 3 increases and 3 increases. 3 increases and 3 increases. Now what we're going to do for the next round, when we're going to just work even along these inner, the inner part. And then when we get to the corner where we need to make it turn the corner, we have to do those increases. So one round is going to be increase, 1 stitch, increase, 1 stitch, and then go to this side and then do the same thing. Increase, 1 stitch, increase, 1 stitch. And then the next round is going to be increase, 2 stitches, increase, 2 stitches. Same thing around here. And then the next round is going to be increase, 3 stitches, increase, 3 stitches. So as long as you keep that in mind and make sure you're counting throughout, you shouldn't have trouble with these increases. But you can't just keep doing 3, 3, 3 like together. You have to spread them out to make it nice and flat, okay? And just see how this is where I'm joined. So you can see it's pretty seamless. You can't really tell where I joined. But yeah, so that's about like the first 12 rounds. You're just going to be doing all of those increases. And when you're finished with the first I'm sorry, 10 rounds, the first 10 rounds, you should have something that looks like this. So Jay says, how many stitches should we have? Oh, it looks like I missed some stories. I mean, some questions. So the pattern is in the chat. You can just link to it. It's free at premieryarns.com. And there was a question about the stitches, but I can't see it now. But all of the stitch counts are in the pattern. So at the very end of the row, it tells you exactly how many stitches you should have. So see, after we do round 8, we should have 108 single crochets. After we do round 9, we should have 114. So always keep track of your stitch count while you're doing this.
So Liz, we do, I'll read a couple of questions for you that you missed.
Okay.
They're asking what color you're using for the sample.
The sample is the Desert Skies.
Perfect. And the question you missed by Jay is how many stitches should we have at this point?
For the sample, you should have, I think I just did up to round 2. So we should end up with 72. If you count from the beginning where you marked it to the end where you marked it, you should have 72. And if you don't, just pull it back and start over. This is why I wanted to kind of go over those first 2 rounds, because it's tricky when you're working into both sides of that chain. So, and of course, you know, this class is going to be recorded and it'll be there. So if you need to rewatch that, do that. But I mean, you know, I always mess up my stitch count and just rip it back and start over again. So yeah, you'll get the hang of it once you get through a few rounds. So I'm going to go to this is where I had my stitch marked, hopefully. Round 11. So I'm just going to join here at the end of round 10, and I'm going to show you how we work into the back loops. So it just says working in the back loops, single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to want to single crochet in this first stitch too, because that chain does not count as a stitch. So you want to make sure you don't skip that first stitch, right? The first one is hard to work into the back loop, so just work right into it because that chain is in the way. So just work right into the first stitch with a regular single crochet. And I'll keep my marker on it. Now for the rest of them, I'm going to work into the back loop. So here is the, I'm going to move this so I can see. Here's the back loop. Easier to show you with this. That's the back loop. That's the front loop. We have to work into the back loop only instead of working under the entire stitch like you normally would. So let's go just right into that back loop. And into the next back loop. And into the next back loop. And I'm just going to do that all the way around this larger sample. So that way I can show you how it sort of turns up. And then once you get your base, which is flat, you stop increasing to, so that way your piece works into more of like a tube and it's no longer going to be flat. If we want to keep it flat, we have to keep increasing. And you could keep increasing the same way, like just as many times as you want. You just use that formula. But of course, for this pattern, to keep the stitch multiple, we're just going to stop here with our increases. And at this round was round 10, we should have 120 here. So make sure you're working into the back loop. And Just going to keep going around and around here so I can show you how to do the even rounds where we don't increase. And those are going to be double crochet clusters.
So we have a couple of questions here,
Yeah.
Liz. So Jade is asking what the difference is between a back loop and a back bump of chains.
Okay, so a back loop is when you're referring to a stitch. So if they say if the pattern says work into the back loop of the stitch, that's only referring to a stitch. So it can be a double crochet, a single crochet, whatever stitch it is, you're going to work into the back loop, which is this one. Sometimes it'll say work into the front loop, and then you work into that loop only. Okay, that's what it is when we say a back loop. When we say a back bump, that's only referring to that starting chain. So when you start your chain, if we have, I'll just show you with this chameleon, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some people, I mean, not some people, it doesn't matter which way you do it. It's a personal preference how you want to do it. If you just work right into the center of that chain, you see how I'm going? See, there's a chain. And if I go right into the center of that chain, I'm just working into my foundation chain, which that's how pretty much it all starts. If you want, you can turn it around like this. And you see how those look like little bumps, like waves almost? Let's see if I can see that part and that part. It's almost like hills. Those are the bumps. If you can see it from this angle, those are the bumps. That's just like the chain. So if a pattern won't usually specify this pattern, I had to specify to work into those bumps because once we worked into that side, we had to turn it and work into this side. So we wouldn't have really been able to do that if we just started like this, just working directly into sort of the center of that chain. We wouldn't have been able to work into the opposite side of it. So that's why we did it that way. Most patterns will just say chain 25 and work in however many stitches into the chain. If it doesn't specify, you can do it however you want. You can work directly into the center like that, or you can work into the back bump. But see how it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't look as pretty. But it's really just, like I said, a matter of personal preference. For this pattern specifically, you have to work into the bump or you won't be able to work into the opposite side. So I hope that answered your question.
That makes a lot of sense. And Robert would like to know if when it comes to yarn, is it best to stick with cotton or does any material work the same?
For a bag, you can use any yarn, but I like to use cotton for bags because cotton, cotton is pretty sturdy. It holds up really well. You can usually wash it, so that's always a plus for a bag. And cotton doesn't have a ton of, it stretches out a bit over time, but it doesn't have, it's not real bouncy. So for the strap and things, I find it to be sturdy, but you really, I mean, I've made bags with acrylic, I've made bags with wool even. So you can really, you know, do it however you want. It's just a good idea to keep this bottom part tight stitches. So that way you don't get any holes in the bottom of your bag.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Maria would like to know is what the strongest yarn is for a bag. Would that be cotton as well?
Yeah, cotton is, I'd say, pretty strong. You know, they even make something called raffia. It's almost like I don't honestly know what it's made out of, but it almost like reminds me of like a wicker kind of, you know, like wicker furniture. Like imagine wicker furniture like in a really thin yarn, not really thin, but like not wicker thickness. Raffia is a good one to use for bags. And they also have like that macrame yarn. That's great for bags too, because it's made for all those knots that you do with macrame. You could totally crochet with that too. But I think macrame yarn is just cotton as well, but it's just a real strong, sturdy cotton. So acrylic is surprisingly strong too. You could actually do a lot with acrylic, and it's pretty like easy care. I'd say for bags, maybe don't do anything like in a alpaca or something like that. That's really sort of like a delicate kind of yarn. Even bamboo, but bamboo tends to be heavy and stretchy. So I like cotton. I think if you're gonna, I mean, you can definitely experiment, but start with like a cotton like this for your first couple bags, and then experiment. Is raffia washable? I'm not sure if it's washable. And it could depend on the company that makes it too. Like, different companies may make different sorts of blends and things like that. So you just have to check the label to see if it's washable or not. And all yarns, no matter where you buy it from, it'll have it on the label if it's washable and dryable. Like I know this Chameleon is, where does it say? Yeah, it says machine wash, warm, and tumble dry. So you can even throw this in the dryer.
So we have a couple questions here about the hooks. Is it necessary to use a G hook, or would a H hook work as well?
It's necessary in any pattern, no matter what you're doing, to use the hook that you get the gauge with. So if I use this G hook, that's because I am a loose crocheter. And when I measured my gauge to write the pattern, that's the size, the width, and the length that I want it to be. So when you make it, I want it to be the same width and length that I designed it to be, but you may crochet really tight, and you may not crochet the same way as me, and you may crochet differently on a different day. So no matter what, you have to check your gauge. So always, always, always check your gauge. And as long as you get the gauge, you can use whatever hook you get the gauge with. And it actually changes. When I first started crocheting, I was making something with a 4mm hook. And then I put it down and I went back to it with a 4mm hook of a different brand, like it was a different brand hook. And it was completely off. My gauge was completely off once I did that. So even if a hook is the same size, even if it's a different brand, it might be a little different. So stick to the same hook that you started with to finish the whole project, and always check your gauge in the beginning. And all you have to do with this pattern, it's easy to check your gauge, because if you start out the way we started out, then all you have to do is, make a few rounds, like maybe go up to here and then just measure it out and make sure you get the right gauge before you continue on, right? So, okay, I got the right gauge. Now I can just keep going. You don't have to make a separate swatch. I think people don't like making swatches sometimes, but with a bag, if it's a little bit bigger or smaller, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're making a sweater or a hat or mittens, and it's a little bit bigger or smaller than it was intended to be, you're going to really regret not checking your gauge. So yeah, the hook that we put in the patterns is recommended. Whatever you get the correct gauge with is what you should use. So I hope that answered your question. So now look, I want to show you what this did here. I worked into the back bumps, right? And now you can't hardly see it too well because it's the first round, but it's going to push this up. Like it's going to start pushing these up. And then this, where we worked into the back bump and we have this little ridge, that's going to be the very bottom. You can see it on the sample. So here we worked into the back bump, and it just kind of turns the base, right? And then we're going to start working these double crochets all around. So I just want to show you one round of that so I can show you how I how we change yarn color. So we're just going to join here. And now we're working into both loops. See, I put my hook under both loops, slip stitch. And then we're going to chain up 1, 2, and 3. And I'm on round 1 of the body. Okay, and it says 2 double crochet in the same stitch. So that's the same stitch. I want to make sure I go in the same stitch. That's 1, and that's 2. And that's going to be a shell. And then it says skip 2 stitches and shell in the next stitch. Skip 2 stitches, repeat from star around. So let me show you this here. So we did 2 double crochet. We're going to skip 2 stitches. We're going to shell in the next stitch and then skip 2 stitches. And then I have this little semicolon there. And then it says repeat from star around. That just means that once we did those two sets of instructions, we're just going to go back to where the star started and do that again and again and again. So shell, skip, shell, skip, shell, skip, like that. Because we're going to repeat it from all the way around, which means from the beginning to the end. So skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, shell into here. 1, 2, 3. And if you see something in a pattern, like where it just says shell or SH in this pattern, just check the beginning of the pattern, usually under the heading stitch guide, and it should always spell out what these definitions are, right? Because a shell could be different. It could be 5 double crochets, it could be 3 double crochets, it could be 7 double crochets. So it should define it in the pattern under the stitch guide. So if you see something like that, like just an abbreviation that you don't know, check the stitch guide and it will tell you exactly how to make that that stitch, or combination of stitches is what it usually is. So now I'm just going to shell, skip 2, shell, and I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. Skip 2, shell, and in this case, the shell is just 3 double crochets in the same stitch. Skip, skip, shell. And as you can see, we are no longer increasing because now we want our bag to start going up or to start taking the shape of a tube rather than being a flat oval like we needed it to be for the base. So I'm just doing my skip 2 and shell all the way around. Skip, skip, and shell. I just wanted to, I like to say it throughout for anyone who maybe came in late or anything. These are recorded and put up on the Michaels website, of course, for free. So if you missed anything, or if you need to kind of just, rewind and keep watching, you can do that. So that way you can make this whole bag. And then after I show you how to do this round and change the colors for the next round, I'm going to show you how to do the Romanian I-cord. And I'm curious if anyone, I don't know how you could answer this. I guess if you can do like a thumbs up or something. Has anyone made a Romanian I-cord or seen how to make that before? I'm excited to show you that. I think it's going to be easier than you think. Nope, I haven't. Okay, I see. Cynthia says nope. While I do these little shells here, I like using this Romanian, I'll talk about it. The Romanian I-cord makes a really nice strap for a bag. So if you've made bags before, a lot of the patterns will have just like it'll just be like a series of single crochet, like 3 single crochets or 4 single crochets, and you just make a skinny strap, which works great. That's great too, but this I-cord is it's a bit less stretchy, and you'll see when you make it, it's very, very thick and sturdy. So it's a good alternative to just that sort of, you know, row of single crochets, skinny row of single crochets or double crochets or whatever. So we're going to go all the way around till we get to the slip stitch, or the join, I should say, because for this pattern, we're going to change colors at the join. Check Premier Yarns website. I've read how to do the I-cord, and there are different I-cords too. There's another I-cord. I think they just call it an I-cord, and it's not fun. It's not fun to do because you need to keep, it's almost like Tunisian. You need to keep loops on the hook, but you're only keeping like 3 loops on the hook. So every time you try to work into the other loops, those 2 loops fall off. I found when I tried to do it, like the loops kept falling off my hook every time I tried to work into the loop that I was supposed to work into to make the cord. So that one was like not fun for me at all. So then I discovered this Romanian I-cord it's called. And that one is much easier to do than the regular I-cord. So if you're like me and you had trouble with the regular I-cord, or if you knit, I think they do something similar in knit with an I-cord. 1, 2, 3. And when I come around, I should have 2 stitches left to skip before I do the join. So skip, skip, and there's my last shell. 2 and 3. And now I'm at the end. You see I have 2 stitches left. That means I finished all the way around, and I ended where I was supposed to end, which is skip 2 stitches, and then I just have to join the round. And then the pattern will also tell you how many of these shells you're supposed to have. So you can count and make sure you have the right count for shells. So now here's my first chain, right? So this is the first chain 3 that I did. This is 1, this is 2, and this is the 3rd chain. It's hard to tell sometimes when you do that turning chain. This is 1 chain, this is 2 chains, this right here is the 3rd chain. So that's where we need to go, into the 3rd chain, not this one. This is the next stitch. This is the 3rd chain of the first chain 3, which is the first double crochet, because the chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So I'm just going to go right into that 3rd one, and then I'm going to drop this color, and I'm going to join the new color, which is the white. And this is all in the pattern too. It spells out how to change colors. So now I have my white on the hook, and I'm just going to pull that through the chain and then through the stitch to complete the slip stitch, and just pull it so it's tight. And then you start working the next round. So I start 1, 2, oops, not with the tail, with the one that's coming from the yarn. 1, 2, 3. You can just tighten that up. And don't worry about like weaving it in or tightening it up or anything, because we're going to go back to this. So we did our first double crochet, and then we do another double crochet into the next stitch. And we just double crochet in each stitch around, right? Double crochet in each stitch around. So this is all just double crochet. So once you get all the way around and you go to do that join, then you just drop the white and pick up the color and then do the next thing. Drop the color, pick up the white. So throughout the bag, you don't have to worry about cutting and weaving anything in. And you can tighten it up as you move to the next round. So you're gonna change colors at the slip stitch at the beginning of the round. And see if you can see what it looks like on the inside. Here's the seam. Yeah, it's pretty seamless. Can't even tell where it is. This is the seam. So as you can see, I didn't have to do any weaving in or anything like that. I just drop one color and pick up the next one. Because you're working in a round, you're not turning, the color is always going to be right there at the join. That yarn is always going to be right there to just grab and switch. So that is the body, and then you just continue doing that all the way up, right? So you do 2 rounds of the shells, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of the double crochet, 2 rounds of the shells. So you continue working up that way. And then you just work some single crochets here, and you do some decreases to sort of cinch it in a little bit. And then you make these holes, which is really easy to do. You just do a chain. So like chain 4, and then go back down there and continue working around. And then when you work the next round, you just work into that chain. And it's just like making a buttonhole. It's exactly like making a buttonhole. Cynthia says, I don't have the, let's see if I can pull up this question. It looks like they change colors after. Yeah, it is after the second round, but I didn't want to keep going too long because I want to show you how to do the cord too. So I just kind of showed you a little sample of the first round, and then you're right, but you do 2 rounds of the shells and then you change to the white. So definitely follow the pattern. I'm just kind of showing you what I can squeeze in into this hour, okay? I don't have the pattern in front of me. You only need one of the, this one, rainbow roller skates. You need 1 rainbow roller skates and 1 chameleon. And the chameleon that I used is purple, but you can use the pink or the yellow if you like. I should know I would have been able to, I should have known I wouldn't be able to follow along. I would never be able to make this in an hour anyway. You know, it takes hours to make. So that's why I just wanted to kind of show you like the important parts. And then the easy stuff, like just working double crochets around and around, let you do that on your own. So let me make, whoops, my little flashlight. Let me make the cord for you because I'm really excited to show you guys this. I like to be able to show everybody something new. Okay, this is really, really simple. What you're gonna do is start with a chain of 3, and I'll put it close to the camera so you can see. Start with a chain of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to work into the second chain. Here's the first chain. Here's the second chain with a single crochet. Now I'm going to work into the next chain with a single crochet. Go under that bump. So I have 2 single crochets. Okay. So I have this little itty bitty 2 single crochets. There's 1 and 2. What I'm going to do now is just rotate it slightly. And I'm going to show you, this is just a little bump at the bottom right here. And we're going to work right into that little bump. So you have your 2. And then right into this bump right here. And you're only going to have to do this once, so don't worry about the bump. It's a little weird, but just put your hook right into there. Okay, and work a single crochet. So that's one. Now it looks like just like a jumble of things, but once you get going, it looks really pretty. Now, there are two loops right here, which is like the side of the single crochet. And once you work into that bump, they're gonna just sort of pop out, like they're right there. They're gonna just present themselves to you, right? So you're just gonna go right under those two bumps with another single crochet. And now that I did that one, if I just rotate it very ever so slightly, there's two more, 1, 2. So I'm just gonna go right under those two with a single crochet. And now there's another two right there, 1, 2. They just, like, once you get going with this, they're just gonna present themselves. You're gonna notice them right away. And don't do it too tight or it's hard to work into. That's my single crochet. There's another two right there. So try to be relaxed with this one, okay? You don't really have to turn it, you just rotate it a little bit and then two more will be right there for you to work into. Single crochet. There's another one right there. So we're really working in a spiral. So we're just sort of working around and around. There's another two in a spiral. Single crochet. Oh, I got a lot of yarn here. There's two. Rotate it slightly. There's two. Rotate it slightly. As you can see, it gets a little easier once you get through that first part where it's kind of jumbled up. Two. Here's two. It's a single crochet and there's another two. You'll see those two loops just, they just pop out. As soon as you don't have to worry about turning or really even rotating. As soon as you work that single crochet, it kind of rotates itself a little bit and it just pops up right there to work into. So you can see already, it's making like a really thick, I'll show you with the bag. So all you do to make this is work single crochets around and around and around in a spiral. And it makes like a pretty pattern almost. And it's very not stretchy at all. And it's thick. It's almost like a rope. So it just works great for bags. So once you just keep doing what we did where we rotated it around and around, can you start the I cord again? Yes, I can definitely do that. But let me just say one thing before I start it again. Once you make a long cord, the pattern tells you how long, 60 inches. Once you make 60 inches, you just insert the strap through the opening on the left side front. So you're gonna start in here. You're gonna put it through here. Then you're gonna put it through the back side, right? And then you're gonna go from the back to the front. So you just insert it around like that, and then you seam it at the end. And then once you do that, you have the strap on either side, right? So you don't have to make two straps. You just make one and seam it in the center. I hope that makes sense. But it's like I said, it's all written in the pattern. Let me start this again. So it's tricky, but like I said, once you get going, it's fun. So we always start with a chain 3. Right, my slip knot, of course. 1. Wait, let me get that that one too tight or I'll never be able to work into it. So try not to make any of this tight or it's hard to work into. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I start with a chain 3. I work into the second chain from the hook with a single crochet. And then I work into the third chain, which is the last chain because I only made 3, with a single crochet. Now I have 2, right? 2 single crochets. Right here, there's just a weird little bump, loop. We're gonna first go into there so we can kind of make it into a spiral, right? In the back bump of the chain. Yes, go into the back bump of the chain. Now let's go into that little bump. This one is only 1 loop. So for the very first one, it's 1 loop that you're working into with a single crochet. So now that I have 3, right? Because I did 2 and then I did the third one into that little back bump. Now I'm just going to start working into 2 loops of the side of the single crochets. So here's the first 2 right here. 1, 2. I'm just going to work under both of those with a single crochet. Now rotate it a tiny, tiny bit. Don't turn it, just rotate it a little bit and you'll see 2 more loops. You're going to go under those 2. And then rotate it a tiny bit and you'll see 2 more loops. You're going to go under those 2. Can you use 2? Hold on. Okay. Now, as you get going, you'll see these loops, they really do present themselves. Just they're right there. You won't get lost. Single crochet. I encourage everybody to try this because it looks weird on camera, but once you do it, you'll see, oh, okay, this is not hard at all. 2 loops, and just think of it as working around in a spiral, and it's all single crochets. There's 2 loops. There's 2 loops. 2 loops. 2 loops. See, I'm just working around and around. And those 2 loops will be closest to you. Don't try to like reach around to these. The ones that are right there that present themselves first, that's the one you're going to work into, and then the next 2, and then the next 2, and then the next 2, around and around. Okay, see? So hopefully that got it. Oh, Jana says gotta run. Bye, Jana. So everybody, yeah, if you want to try this, I encourage you to try this because it's really fun and it makes a great strap for a bag. You could use it for any bag. And it's super simple. Once you get used to it, just keep watching it again and again. If you missed it, please show the tie off. So here, just got like an end. Once you get to the end, you just pull it through like anything else. So make 60 inches, keep a long tail so you can use that to seam it in, and then just pull it through like that. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do a knot or anything like that. Just pull it through. And then you'll, once you put it through the bag first, and then you seam this side to this side. Just sew it on really good. That's all you have to do. My yarn is rolling away. This has been, oh, you're welcome, Paula. Thank you so much. I hope everyone, oh my gosh, look at that. We are right on time, 5:01. That's good. I wasn't sure if I would go too long, but I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. And of course, I said it a million times, but you can watch it again and again to kind of check out anything you missed. And I'm here usually every month. So check out the crochet classes and I'll be teaching another one next month. And thank you to everyone who joined me today. And thank you to Michaels. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Bye.